Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Kengan chapter 103. Before I get into this week's review, I of course have to mention my subscriber goal for 2021, hitting 5,000 by the end of the year. So if you already watch my videos and you're not subscribed, you might as well help me reach that milestone. The other thing is my Patreon. If you want to help support me and the channel directly, there's a link to that down in the description. Whatever tier you join, you'll get a shout out at the end of videos, so if you're interested in that, go check it out. Now with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. So, I'm not sure if this week's chapter is 103 or 102 part 2, because last week's chapter was supposedly called 102 part 1, and it looks like the page count for this chapter just continues right where the last one left off. But it's the 103rd main I don't fucking know. It doesn't even have a title, in fact. I don't think there's a title anywhere in this chapter. So that's something. But like I predicted last week, this is the end of the fight, and the winner, to the surprise of most people, is Hayami Masaki. So, Jiroda lost. How do I feel about this? I'm not sure, actually. I'm kind of mulling it over right now. I did, just read the Raws. I've got them right here. It does feel he did not job. I will say that right now. Jiroda did not job. He did a good job. I'd say this fight mostly shows the importance of compatibility and kind of actually shows a good way to use purgatory rules, I think. It just sort of further... It makes compatibility even more important, because if you are literally too strong to fight someone, you could accidentally kill them. So then you have to hold back, which was the deal for Jiroda. In any other circumstance, if this were a Kengan match, Jiroda would have won, because he could have just thrown Hayami hard enough to fucking break his neck and kill him. But he couldn't do that here, and due to Hayami's absurd durability, he was able to just survive long enough to wear down Jiroda and eventually win. It definitely does seem like losing his right arm, not being able to use it anymore, was pretty much the deciding factor. But yeah. It seems like we do get to see the killing throw here, and then Hayami finishes it off with an elbow into Jiroda's forehead. But Jiroda seems to be smiling. He's pretty happy that he got to fight his nemesis, even though it's technically not Meguro. But yeah, I assume Jiroda is going to be trying to get stronger after this. Hopefully, I'm really hoping here that regardless of which team wins, that the Purgatory fighters are going to be sticking around. Like, if Purgatory ends up winning, it's very obvious that they are going to be sticking around long-term, most likely. But if the Kengan Association wins, I hope it's not just, oh yeah, we absorbed Purgatory, and then we just kind of ignore them. So I hope that doesn't happen, because I really like Jiroda. I really like a few of the other Purgatory fighters, like Falcon, and I'm just genuinely hoping that these guys are not left in the dustbin of history once this tournament is over. So this chapter, it felt kind of sudden, the victory. So, it felt like it happened really fast. I don't know. Like, this is like 10 minutes after me reading this. So it's not bad. I think it's fine for a conclusion to the fight. So it doesn't become the best. It's still stuck at second best. It's better than Ryuki versus Naidun. Still not better than Falcon versus Rihito. But overall, it was pretty good. It was a pretty solid fight. Did it save the hype? Did Jiroda save the hype? Maybe? I don't know. Jiroda... Okay, so first off, this fight shows that, power scaling is bullshit. I actively participate in this, but it's bullshit. And that compatibility could mean literally everything. So I'm hoping that compatibility will remain a factor in future fights, because I'm not sure how I would feel if they introduced this, and then from this point on, it's just like, oh no, the other fighter's just stronger. So I don't know. Like, if the second if the supposedly second best person in Purgatory would lose here to Hayami, who I will say is like an A-rank fighter. We're still gonna do stupid power scale and shit here. He's like an A-rank fighter. Jiroda, I think the stupidly fast throws that not even Kano can replicate, that is better than Oma's redirection kata. Yeah, he's up. But he still lost in the end. So that's not a great look for Lelong. Maybe that's to dampen the hype for Lelong, actually. Maybe Sandra's actually on some 5D chess stuff here, and the second king of Purgatory losing to someone who's not super remarkable in terms of his power is to be like, oh, I guess Lelong is not all that, and then he shows up and he wins his fight, and we're like, holy shit, Lelong's actually really strong. I don't know. Like, I sound kind of disappointed. It's mostly because I really wanted Jiroda to win, but the fight overall was still really good, so, like, it's kind of a so-so thing, but whatever. Anyway, you know what I have to talk about now. He did it, boy. He did the fate. That fucking Lu Tian page has ruined this thing for me forever. I can't look at this shit without thinking of that stupid fucking face that Lu Tian was making. We will never escape the Lu Tian crazy face page. The Lu Tian crazy face and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race and my mental health and my enjoyment of all future Kengan fights. So yeah, I mean, it's not actually super surprising because Hayami is a clone of Meguro, and Meguro is an insane person from birth. So we all kind of had a feeling that it might happen at some point. But God, I kind of hoped that Hayami would just be normal, so I kind of don't like this. I wanted Hayami to be different. I don't know. It seems like the headphone things are something kind of keeping him sane, and that he was just kind of barely keeping it together during the fight without having them in. So I guess I repressed the crazy jobber face long enough to not receive the jobber effects of having it. I'm sorry. The word jobber has been so overused over the last several months that it's basically just become a word for loser. And I partially blame myself for this because of using it a lot a few chapters ago. Well, not a few chapters ago, like before this fight started, when Alan versus Ryan happened, I used that a lot. And now, if you go on Reddit, it's in, like, literally every other fucking reply to a chapter post. Oh, and you jobber trader on my Discord server, do you have any other words in your dictionary? In your vocabulary? Do you know anything other than the word jobber? But yeah, this is kind of not the biggest fan in the world of this. Yeah. So, the score's tied again, which is interesting, because that actually means that if Purgatory wins, we can have more Purgatory fighters win their fights. So, that opens up some fairly interesting possibilities. We've got, 5 rounds left? Who is left? We have Lelong, Tarashi, Wang Feng, Dongcheng, and Lebanner. On the Kengan team, we have Oma, Waka, Okubo, Yitoku, and, I'm forgetting someone right now, Okoye. So, something very interesting could happen here. We could actually have more Purgatory fighters win, or lose by killing. I still find Lebanner to be the most likely one to lose by killing his opponent. I've listened to some other people's matchup predictions. You guys know that I have been repping Lebanner versus Okoye, because they're both clearly killers, or at least people with immense bloodlust. So them fighting makes sense, and I could definitely see Lebanner killing Okoye, because Okoye is one of the only members of the Kengan team I can see getting killed. And then Dongcheng versus Nitoku, because Dongcheng is gonna want to get revenge against the Worm, because, you know, they are basically the cult that Nidon got inducted into. That's why he became a fucking suicidal crazy person. So he would want to get revenge against the Worm. And Nitoku seems like the most likely candidate to be a Worm member on the Kengan team. But there are some alternate predictions, such as Lebanner fighting Nitoku, because Lebanner is someone who is actively seeking out Worm members, like hunting them down. A lot of people think he may be like an Interpol agent or something, which I can see. So I can kind of see that matchup. And then you have Dongcheng versus Okoye, because, you know, Dongcheng wants to kill Ryuki, but Ryuki is Okoye's, you know, companion in the pursuit of justice, so Okoye would obviously step up to defend him. So those aren't the matchups I personally think are most likely, but I can see them, so if they happen, it's not just going to be totally out of left field. Then the other likely matchups I have, I still think Wang Feng is going to be the Tiger's vessel. Some people think it's Lebanner, some people think it's Along, which, no. I would not like that. I think that would be a bad decision if Lelong was also the Tiger's vessel. So I think Wang Feng is going to fight Oma. Lelong, I think, is going to fight Wakatsuki, because I don't think it'd be a good idea to send Okubo to fight Lelong. Unless Okubo has had the biggest boost in power of anyone since the Annihilation Tournament, or somehow MMA is completely incompatible with whatever Lelong does, which I have a feeling is probably just like street fighting, like no style fighting. He's going to lose really hard, whereas Wakatsuki would actually have a chance to beat Lelong. So my matchup predictions now, in total, in the order that I think they are probably most likely to happen, we have Lebanner versus Okoye, Dongcheng versus Nitoku, let's say Okubo versus Tarashi, Wang Feng versus Oma, and Lelong versus Wakatsuki. Of course, they can happen in any order, but I figured if Chirota won, then a death match would be most likely to come next, because then you would still be showing off how strong Purgatory is while having Kengan get a win. That could still happen, but I feel like it'd be better for Purgatory to just win. So it's actually possible that Lelong could just step up right now and be like, alright, I am gonna take this shit back for Purgatory. Chirota, you loser. You failure. It's time for me to step up and win. And I still think Lelong is going to win. It's the only way to really save the hype now. Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens. Man, someone's starting up their car right next to my window. That's incredible. So yeah, with that, that's all I have to say for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Kengan Omega chapter reviews every week. If you enjoy other series such as Record of Ragnarok, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, and Kaiju number 8, I do videos in those series as well, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. If you enjoy discussing Kengan Omega with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Of course, since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons, Archbears, CJ2K, Fuse, Neo, Solo Warrior, Tyrese Simmons, Dejon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, Zach Rowitz, and KageOD. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I appreciate it a lot. And if you too want to get a shout out and or support me on the channel directly, there's a link to my Patreon down in the description. You can go check that out if you're interested. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.